Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There is a long tradition in politics of a process called the reverse ferret. And what that means is you, as a party, for example, you will announce a new manifesto. You put something in your manifesto and you say, this is what we are going to do. And you announce this policy proposal. And then almost immediately, it is completely and roundly rejected. It's shown to be an absolutely awful idea that virtually everyone, who even your own supporters, say, no, this is a terrible idea. We can't have this, blah, blah, blah. And all these people reject it. And immediately, and usually within 24 hours, the policy is reversed and dropped. And then they say, oh, no, we said that. We didn't mean it like that. They try to come up with excuses as they actually meant something else. It was an idea that was proposed. It was never seriously meant to get out. Don't know why that was released, blah, blah, blah. And it's called doing the reverse ferret. And it's where you turn around 180 degrees and abandon what is an absolutely awful idea. And it happens more often than you think. It's a long-held thing that parties do. Well, Keir Starmer has done exactly that. He has done the old reverse ferret with the ULEZ scheme. Let's have a look. So Keir Starmer abandons plans for UK-wide ULEZ zones in blow to Sadiq Khan's authority. The Labour leader has rejected plans to include a rollout of the hated London policy to more parts of the UK. And the reason is, of course, Uxbridge. They should have won Uxbridge. Undoubtedly, Labour should have won Uxbridge. But because of Sadiq Khan expanding his ULEZ scheme, the people of Uxbridge went, no. And they voted, even though they didn't want to, they voted Tory to send the message. And the message was cleared and received. Now, the fact is, if you want to have this, as a party, if you want to have cleaner air through emissions, there's a very simple way of doing it. You don't need to install 1 million cameras like Khan seems to want to do. You don't need to monitor every single person. All you do is you slowly, over the course of, say, 10 years, make the emissions from cars very slightly harsher. So the emissions rate must come down every year by a small percentage, 10%. You go, here's what the maximum is now, here's where we want it to be, and you work out the difference. You say, right, 10% every year, you bring it down until all cars meet that emission standard. And that way, you've got time, no one is getting pressured quickly into it. Cars will age out and become, obsolete of their own accord. And it gives people a chance to not be punished immediately for having an older car. The main thing is, of course, this is done through MOT, which is an existing process and doesn't cost anything. Whereas putting up the cameras costs an awful lot of money. Monitoring the cameras costs money. But of course, all these cameras, and we all know these cameras have got nothing to do with the environment. And it's all to do with monitoring movement, road pricing, surveillance technology. And which is why we, as a nation, need to reject it. And I salute the Blade Runners of Old London Town, who are going around and basically taking these cameras out. And we must, as a nation, keep doing it. Get those little laser pointers and, zing, zing. Why should we be surveilled constantly by a government that is scared of us? They surveil us because they fear us. And of course, it's all road pricing. Well, that's easy. Oh, well, look, we need to raise taxes. Then be bloody honest about it. And there's a simple way. You sit there and you look, and as part of the MOT, the MOT station looks at your mileage and says, boom. And then they look at last year's mileage. You've gone this number of miles, and they tax you by your mileage. Simple, isn't it? And you don't need to monitor people's journeys. Anyway, Sir Keir Starmer has pulled a screeching U-turn on plans to expand the ULEZ-style low-emission zones across the country after his party's unexpected defeat in the Uxbridge and South Ruislip by-election last month. In May, a draft, and this is where you're going to see where he's changed his mind. In May, a draft of Labour Policy's handbook, a provisional blueprint of what is likely to shape Sir Keir Starmer's 2024 election manifesto, was leaked, and it revealed plans to support and expand these clean air zones, or as they like to put them, the surveillance zones in preparation for road pricing. And also because then they can monitor where you go, and it all helps with the 15-minute ghettos plan as well. That's the other thing it's about. It's all about the 15-minute ghettos. The handbook declared, Labour supports the principle of clean air zones and recognises the huge damage to human health caused by air pollution and the damage to our climate caused by carbon emissions from polluting vehicles. Oh, good. I'm glad they recognise that. And of course, that means that they will undoubtedly ban private jets. However, they must be phased in carefully, mindful of the impacts on small businesses and low-paid workers, and should be accompanied with a just transition plan to enable people to switch to affordably to low-emission vehicles. And it's now been revealed such proposals have been junked entirely. Basically, Keir Starmer saw the result in Uxbridge and went, scrub, edit, delete, rips out, swallows. No, we never had that in our policy manifesto. He says, what is it, the line there? We are doing something very wrong if policies put forward by the Labour Party end up on each and every Tory leaflet. With the Tories hoping to make Labour's anti-motorist policies a key election in the battle next year, the handbook proposes to expand clean air zones, and they were scored out at Labour's recent National Policy Forum. In other words, get rid of it. We cannot do this. We will lose every bloody seat if we have this in there because drivers don't want it. A Labour source told The Telegraph that the policy has been officially dropped and will not feature in the revised proposals, which will feed into the party's manifesto. At the forum, Labour's defeated Uxbridge candidate Danny Beale said ULEZ has cut us off at the knees. They're all rejecting it, and yet Khan seems to push on and wanting it because he needs money. He's overspent, and he's given a lot of money to a certain group, and so he needs to make that money up again. The Tories successfully turned the by-election into a ULEZ referendum, beating Labour against all odds by 495 votes. Labour should have been victorious by a long margin, and they lost because people, even though they despise the Tories, would rather vote Tory than have the ULEZ. And so they said no, and they've won. They've won. Labour now appears completely divided over the policy, with Sadiq Khan as well as Labour-run cities like Newcastle, Bristol and Birmingham supporting the clean air zones. But, of course, the people are against them. York MP Rachel Maskell told the paper, I think Sadiq Khan called it right when he said we wouldn't accept dirty water, so why accept dirty air? I would say it's absolutely essential that we make those interventions to make a difference, and that's fine. But you don't need to do it by mass surveillance. I've said you to do it by slowly, over 10 years, reducing the emissions levels on MOTs. And that slowly brings it down. The Tories candidate for the Mayor of London, Susan Hall, mocked the idea Labour had given up on ULEZ zones just because their expansion won't appear in the 2024 manifesto. She says everyone knows Labour won't stop with Sadiq Khan's ULEZ expansion no matter what they say. Yeah, it might not be on the manifesto, but they're still going to try and push it through back doors, aren't they? Angela Rayner has admitted she wants to see ULEZ schemes all over the country, and Sadiq Khan's tax will punish poorer families who rely on their cars. And Keir Starmer was too weak to tell him to stop. Keir Starmer's got no balls. Here's the thing. If you truly want this to work, you don't charge an amount. Because if you charge an amount, you're only punishing poor people. You charge a percentage. So you say, right, now here's how it works. If you want to come in your car and your car breaks the rules, you have to pay 1 hour's wages. And so for someone on minimum wage, they have to pay £10.52 or whatever it is. But for your multi-millionaire, who for him 1 hour could be £1,000, he has to pay £1,000. That's fair, isn't it? And of course it means that Sadiq Khan can raise a lot more money, and he isn't just punishing poor people. Let's charge people proportionately. Let's have a progressive charge, and you are paid, 1%, or 1 hour. I think 1 hour, 1 hour of your money. Or better still, here's the thing: get rid of it entirely. Just get rid of it and say no. Just carry on driving. It's absolutely fine. But then look, over time, all the cars are clean, and so it isn't even an issue. There you go. And they're still not banning private jets. Anyway, I shall come up and round off and finish. Funny me calling it, not me, it's funny that it's called a reverse ferret, because when you ever look at Sadiq Khan, he looks a bit like a ferret, doesn't he, or a weasel, something like that. Something, sneaky. There's something sneaky about him. You don't think you can trust that man. I certainly don't. And this, of course, has got nothing to do with clean air. Everything is to do with money and surveillance and the 15-minute ghettos. It's all part of that WEF push, salami slicing, bit by bit by bit. And as long as we can see it, and we can, then we know we can reject it. And that's what we must do at every single opportunity. Reject it, reject it, reject it. Say no more, and enough is enough. And vote these people out. Anyone who proposes a ULEZ in your area, vote them out. Vote them out. And keep voting them out. And they'll get the message. We are many, they are few. And there is nothing they can do if they're not in power. So vote them out. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, we are the ones with the power. Bye.